Hello, everyone, and welcome to Scary Stories We Tell. I'm your host, Chris Dashew, and I am joined by the other host of this show, or one of the other hosts of this show, Emma.
Hello.
And Emma, we're here to go back to a website that I have actually sworn off. I used to have it on my phone, the app, and I actually deleted the app off my phone because I found that I was spending too much time just scrolling through it. So I took the step.
Really?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. I would scroll through whatever my For You page was, and then I would go on the personals, but the popular, I guess is what it's called. Popular. I guess personal is the For You page. So I would scroll that, and then I would scroll that. But yeah, I don't have Reddit on my phone anymore, folks, because I spent too much time doom scrolling on it, especially during the pandemic, it was real bad. But more recently, I was just my wife kind of made a decision to stop Facebook doom scrolling and YouTube doom scrolling. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the step to get rid of my equivalent, which is Reddit. So, but hey, we're going to talk about Reddit. So let us doom scroll for you.
So let's just reignite your addiction.
Well, I didn't reinstall it on my phone.
That's good.
I refuse. I was like, there's got to be a way for me to do this without reinstalling it on my phone. So I was able to find the stories on my phone because Reddit has a nice way of sorting for new and top that you can still do without downloading the app. So yeah, it's pretty nice. I don't have to download the Reddit app. Fuck you.
Hell yeah, congrats.
Setting healthy boundaries with technology is important in our ever-changing.
Agreed. Absolutely. But that being said,
it's also important to go and read stories of people on the internet who are posting on Reddit, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to sit here and do it. So,
I think that social media is a double-edged sword, and I think it is a wonderful way to connect people and share experiences and inspiration. And then there's everything awful about it as well. So
I think social media is more like a double-edged dildo. You're going to get fucked either way if you use it or if you don't. Because if you don't use it, people are going to tell you to use it more and you're not using it enough. And then if you use it, it just feels like you're just yelling into the void and nothing is happening.
What does that have to do with the dildo?
You're going to get fucked either way. You're fucked either way. You're fucked if you do. You're fucked if you don't. I mean,
I thought you were going to continue with the metaphor.
Oh, no. It's just you're fucked either way. Use it or not. I think social media sucks. And I don't think anybody would disagree. I think, like you said, it's a necessary evil, but it is still evil.
I definitely think there's good to it. I just think that the people that have continued to perpetuate its worst qualities are doing so too well.
Yeah. Well, they're it's almost like those are the people that are the ones at the controls as it is. The people at the controls don't have the best intentions in mind either. Because, Reddit, I think, is a little bit different because obviously, you can peruse Reddit anonymously without an account. You don't have to create an account. Facebook and stuff, yeah, you kind of there's a little bit more of a... You got to get a little bit more familiar with the platform. The platform needs to get a little bit more familiar with you, as it were. Because I'm just going to wager a guess that one of the stories or both of the stories I'm reading, and probably both of the stories you're reading, are being posted on an anonymous forum because it is anonymous. And therefore, it allows a level of anonymity that Facebook just doesn't provide unless you're being a catfish, which is, I believe, against Facebook's term of services anyway.
Right.
I don't know.
Isn't that the real horror?
Right. Well, I mean, look, Reddit. Look, for as much as we're talking about r/paranormal, I mean, there are so many other things on Reddit that necessitate privacy. r/gone wild, r/any pornography, anything on Reddit is going, especially where it's user uploaded content. Most people aren't showing their faces in any of this stuff. So Reddit is a great place for that. But Reddit's a great place for sharing stories about the weird shit you see in your flat with your flatmates. Because bet you can't guess where my story takes place.
I bet it takes place in a hospital.
I just like that the moment they use the word flat and flatmates, it's oh, so you're in the UK, huh? somewhere in the UK.
Or they're just a really uppity American.
Yeah. I don't think flat is a term that Americans use, even in American cities where they have apartment life. Do people in New York call it their flat?
No.
Right. Okay. I don't think so, but maybe
I call it their studio right. Apartment.
But so on this episode of the Scary Stories We Tell, we are going to be checking out some more r/paranormal, and we are going to be talking a little bit more about user shared stories. So I'm actually going to share mine first because Emma has not only a story, but a story that has an update as well. So I'm going to share mine first. This was posted 28 days later to r/paranormal by Meryemna, Meryemnuh. Okay. So
I can't pronounce it better, so.
Yeah, me either. It has 531 upvotes, and it is tagged as an experience. It is as follows, and the title is, I saw myself jump off my balcony. Hi, everyone. So this happened to me when I lived with a flatmate and worked nights. This one night, I came back home around 2:30 a.m., and since my flatmate worked as ground staff and her shifts rotated every week, she was supposed to be home around 6:30 a.m. that morning. I had a private balcony. Because it was winter, I kept it closed or my room would be freezing. I lived in a place that you can get 2 or 1 degrees during winter, but that's it. So there's never any heating system in the house, but we had room heaters. I'm assuming that's Celsius, not Fahrenheit. That literally would make no sense otherwise. For all of us who don't use the correct measuring system, it was odd that it was open since I remembered closing it before I left for work, but chalked it up to my flatmate. I closed the door to the balcony, turned off the light outside, and got into my usual routine of taking a bath and changing for bed. It was about 3 a.m. by then, so about half an hour's gone by, and when I hit the pillow, I fell asleep immediately. Now, this was out of the ordinary for me, since it always takes me a good hour to fall asleep once in bed. I didn't remember falling asleep either. I woke up about an hour later as I was really cold and saw the door to the balcony was open again and the lights were back on. I remembered closing it and turning the lights off very clearly. From my bed, I had a diagonal view to the balcony so I can see anyone who might be standing there. Just as I was about to get out of bed, I saw something move out of the shadows where I couldn't see and into the light. It was me. It's written in all caps.
Fuck that.
That's like that vine. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Like,
yes.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Like, yeah, we'll get into it, but yeah, like that's fuck no.
Big no.
Yeah.
Big no.
And it climbed onto the steel railings. Once on top, I, in parentheses, she, turned her neck to look back directly at me and smiled a little too wide for human being. She had too many teeth. Then she jumped off the balcony down into the fog. I was frozen. Not that I couldn't move, but more like I was shell-shocked. I got up from bed shakily after a couple minutes, freaked out of my mind, closed the door, and turned off the lights outside again. Didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I still don't understand what I saw to this day, but it always inspires a chill down my back when I think back on it. I haven't seen her again since. So we always mention the comments here, obviously people engaging with our dear friend here seems to be an AFAB as well, since they refer to themselves in the pronoun of she. So they're identifying as female. So let's just identify them as females. That's the pronouns they want to use. So she, in the comments, responds to some people saying, someone asks, hey, did it feel sinister? She says, it don't know, but it felt sinister. Some people are saying
I don't know. I would say that's pretty sinister.
I mean, again, I feel like to impose our own intent on things is to try and humanize it.
I guess.
You know, like maybe, again, it's operating on some sort of wavelength that we don't necessarily understand. I agree with you in theory. I think, 8 times out of 10. But again, I also don't know because I've never interacted with anything, especially not myself. Some people are saying, people here saying you're lying, you're calling you a joke, and that bothers me. Like, even if it was sleep paralysis, it was still real to you. And also, like, people jumping to lying is also problematic, which I agree with.
You see that a lot in these posts where everyone's like, this sounds like a plot of a movie I've seen that I can't remember the name of.
Right. The immediate reaction being with some people online is always going to be discredit. And I get it. It's like that person that's at a magic show, right? Like, I want to know how it's done. And it's like, are you here to see a magic show and be entertained? Or are you here to be a dick? Like,
right, exactly.
Like, and again, I'm not saying people who want to know how magic is done are dickheads, because I would like to know how all magic is done, because again, I understand it's not magic, but I'm also willing and able and understanding to go along with the storyteller in the medium that they've chosen to tell a story. Some people telling stories just happen to use the medium of magic. So right. I don't need to have everything explained to me. Some people seem to have missed that. And with this, I kind of feel the same way. Is it sleep paralysis? I have no idea. I'm not this person. This person seems like they saw something. It's a little rough to see yourself. I will say that.
Did they say that anything changed? Like, did they have like the curtain drawn or something and it was open? Did they say like that the light was that they turned the light off and it turned on by itself or anything like that.
Nope.
I mean, like,
why does this thing exist all of a sudden is the question, right? Like, with no warning, with no, like, letting you know of his presence, all of a sudden just, like, Jesus, what the hell?
I mean, my first instinct in situations like this is to say, if you had a vivid hallucination where, nothing else in the room has changed, like, actually, and you woke up from sleeping, in my brain, as somebody who has experienced sleep paralysis, although I haven't experienced hallucinations while sleep paralysis, but I have experienced sleep paralysis. I mean, they said that they didn't feel paralyzed, but it is really common for people to have scary hallucinations when they wake up at a weird time.
And it dodged the question is what it feels like, because they were like, it was frozen. I was frozen. Sure. And they said I was frozen, and then they clarified by saying, not that I couldn't move, but more like I was shell-shocked. In my mind, it's like that is the only thing of all of this that really put a red flag, is because, like, to me, it's like, okay, so I'm not going to say it's sleep paralysis, but if you're looking for an explanation that makes more sense to more people, that is an explanation, less a kind of theory, sleep paralysis is an explainable thing that people know exists. And it's like, you're right, that's what this sounds like. Even if you're saying, like, I was frozen, but I could still move, it's like, I don't know about that. Like,
it's interesting. Did she say that she sat up or something, or was she always laying down?
She said, like, after several minutes, she got up.
Okay.
Like, I got up from bed shakily after a couple minutes. Is kind of the next sentence past.
And that
I was frozen.
Was that after it disappeared, or was that while it was? Okay.
It was after. It jumped off the balcony, and then they were frozen staring at it. And then, and again, like, they're in bed and they can see this happening.
Right.
So,
So, I mean, if you're laying down and you see this after waking up, again, my brain immediately goes to some kind of sleep paralysis or sleep phenomenon. That includes a hallucination, which is common. And it's not to say that isn't necessarily, affected by supernatural forces. Like, I have no way of determining whether or not somebody else's sleep phenomenon is, affected by paranormal or otherwise. I'm pretty sure mine aren't. But then again, I've never hallucinated. But I will say that if you woke up at a weird time in the night and you were laying down and you see a weird thing, and that it's not until after you're done seeing the weird thing that you are, quote unquote, able to get up, in my opinion, that's some form of sleep paralysis. Because for those that don't know, it's when you are in a weird, like, state between sleep and wakefulness, that's when sleep paralysis happens. It's just that you're caught in a state of the in-between where you become conscious of your surroundings. However, your brain basically turns off your motor skills, or it should, your ability to move while you sleep to avoid acting out your dreams. People that punch or, like, kick somebody in their sleep, for the most part, that function is not functioning as it should be. But for most people, if you dream that you're in a fight with somebody, you're not punching at the air in real life. And that's because of this function of the brain shutting down your ability to move, to act out your dreams. And so if you're caught between this, consciousness and still, like, but your body assumes that you're still asleep, that's when sleep paralysis happens. And because it's that weird in-between state, you're very attuned to your subconscious, which again could make you very attuned to paranormal encounters as well, because it could be just a very susceptible, vulnerable time. I mean, it feels extremely vulnerable. And it often feels like that you have no control over the situation.
And it's in bed. I mean, being in bed is just about as well.
Especially when you can't move. Like, it's something for me personally that I have to will myself out of when I experience it. I basically have to convince myself to move, like, a toe or move a finger. Like, I put because for me personally, the worst part about sleep paralysis is that you feel like you can't breathe, because your breathing is also regulated, or it should be. When you sleep, you don't need as much oxygen. You breathe more shallow. And again, because you can't move, you can't will yourself to like take deep breath. So it feels like you're suffocating.
Right.
And that's the worst feeling to me. And so I panic a little bit. I'm immediately aware because it feels like I'm struggling to breathe, but I know what it is now. And as long as I can manage to like move a toe or move a finger, I can snap myself out of it. Anyway, but like I said,
we don't want to be those people and say it's sleep paralysis, but like if it's not.
I mean, if it's not, that's fucking horrifying. It's some kind of mimic, some kind of like I don't
or something.
Yeah, I again don't want to fuck with it.
Well, but again, this person wasn't necessarily doing anything to incite it, right? Like that's the thing. It's like it seemingly came out of nowhere. Like this person's like, and then I was in bed, nothing untoward around me that I could tell is happening, and then all of a sudden, here is this thing that is presenting itself as me to me. And it's again, like, to what end is my question. Like, this thing just jumps off the balcony into the fog. I don't know. It all seems very
It doesn't.
Yeah, it kind of does. Like, romantic, not like romantic as, like, you know,
I know what
loving, but like, yeah, like it's a romantic way of telling story.
I suppose.
Jumped into
never to be seen again. It makes me wonder what the intention would have been. If this is paranormal, what would that intention? I mean, would it just be to scare?
Again, presenting someone to themselves as themselves is very strange. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, what's the intent there? To scare? To soothe? No, but like to scare for sure. Because like, is it like, you know, it would be like if you ran into someone who looked like you, you'd be like, what the?
Doppelgangers, unless if you're
Charlie Chaplin thing where you're standing in front of the mirror doing the thing. It's like, I don't know. I don't know to what end. I never know to what end with any of this, right? Like,
that's fair.
Yeah, maybe to scare. Maybe it's like...
I mean, there are a lot of entities that presumably feed off of fear, you know, if we are to go with the anecdotal evidence that we've, you know, heard thus far. There are several entities that people say that they thrive and exist off of being feared, causing fear. And that if you choose to not fear them, they will go away because they can't suck your energy or some shit. So you're like,
they can't suck, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
I know what you mean. But to be fair, it's like the Freddy Krueger thing. I mean, that's how they deal with Freddy Krueger at the end of the first movie. It's like, I turn my back on the evil, and in turning my back on the evil, I don't give the evil power over me, right? Like, that's what you're talking about here.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I don't, do you believe? I mean, I believe in that, I think, up to a point.
Same. I think it's, for somebody that's never really had a paranormal experience, as far as I know, it's hard for me to say.
I believe in manifestations, which is like the inverse.
I feel like brave people that like refuse to believe in it, you know, I feel like they're never going to experience anything because you have to be open to it. So I feel like if you're in a mindset where you literally just do not believe, you cannot fathom, you think it's all absolutely bullshit, and you go out of your way to be like, I'm not fucking scared because none of this is true. I feel like you're less likely to ever encounter something, because there has to be a part of you that is open to the experience, because essentially it would be lifting a veil. And if you're not looking to lift that veil, then you would never see it.
Well, and I also wonder, because again, you and I are two people who, if these experiences were to happen to us, I don't think the two of us would be like, what bullshit. We'd be like, what the hell just happened?
I'd be fucking scared.
The people that are like, this is fucking bullshit, like, there's nothing you could do to change their mind anyway. So it's like,
no.
You know, I mean, the skeptics are going to be skeptics until they're given a reason to not be a skeptic, but I don't think you or I are going to magically make that happen today or tomorrow. Like, that's the thing. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, to quantify a lot of this through the eyes of other people, I think is always very hard, which is obviously, you know, why when we mentioned Reddit, it's like we mentioned the comments, because, you know, like you said, people are automatically going to there's debunkers in the comments. There are like genuine empathizers and sympathizers in the comments. There are people that are just reading and letting them know what they think. But like the debunkers are very vocal, very loud. They want to be heard, right? Because they have a very strong opinion, and they feel like, I feel like some skeptics, it's like, I don't want more people to be taken in by it. Like, and I'm defending them from being taken in by, you know, some some nonsense.
I would view it more as a superiority complex. Like you're,
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like, oh,
kind of
you
zip
believe in
code
this
here.
stuff?
Yeah.
So what are you? Dumb.
Dumb. Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, and you know what? I think
I'm
that's
cool and don't believe in this stuff. And that's how you know I'm cool and better than you.
And I think that stigma has like kind of disappeared in a way, thankfully now. Like, you know, I think the discussion is more open. I mean, yeah, is it still on internet forums? But I think it's more popular than ever. I mean, this place has 1.1 million enthusiasts is what they call them, with, you know, about almost 400 people online right now. So I think, I don't know.
As far as I know, there's only one person that I've ever seen be that way in a way that doesn't make them come off as just like a complete and total prick. And that would be Shane from BuzzFeed Unsolved.
He's endearing.
He is.
Anybody else and you'd be like, you're such a prick. Like,
it's because of the dynamic between him and Ryan that I think if not for their friendship, it wouldn't work.
Well, if it were just two dudes that are also like low key, just like again,
that also wouldn't be entertaining.
What's the point? Like, it's that juxtaposition of the two. Look,
right.
I think for something like this is a great forum for it, Reddit, to post this kind of story. What do I think is going on here? I had no earthly idea. If there was a fucking doppelganger in my apartment jumping off the balcony and disappearing into the fog of the night, I would not live there anymore. I would move. Like, I would actively do everything I could to not be in that space.
And if I couldn't move, I would never step onto that balcony ever again.
Something like that.
Right?
Like,
it would take me like months to work up the courage to be able to be like, okay, it's safe.
It's scary is what this is. Again, I don't know if it's sleep paralysis or not. It kind of has the markers of a sleep paralysis. But at the same time, like, it's
hard
also,
to say.
Yeah, it's also like scary too.
And there's no reason why it couldn't be a combination. So
I kick it to you then, Emma, because you have a story with a follow-up too, which is
I do.
A first. We've never had a follow-up come after them.
I like this person's energy, especially in their follow-up. You can tell that they're like a Zennial. They have Zennial energy.
Excited.
So this is, let me just double check that this is the first one. Yep. Okay, cool. So this is a post by user Lord_Septar. And the title is Longtime Haunting Suddenly Escalates. A little backstory to fill you all in on what's been happening. I'll start this off with the fact that I believe I've been haunted for some of my earlier memories. There have always been unexplainable sound, shadows, or figures in the corner of the eye. As I got older, 22 male, I started to get used to these things since I could never confirm these things for sure. And they never seemed to try to harm me in any way. Hell, I could have just been seeing and hearing things out of paranoia for all I know. But these last 2 weeks, the activity has quickly ramped up since my roommate had been on vacation. I was accustomed to hearing things, but I could always blame it on my cat or dog. But Sunday night, I was in my room watching YouTube on the PS4. I was at a party with my friend just talking, and then I heard a very distinct why come from the outside of my cracked door. I'm staring at the opening as every hair on my body stands on end. My friend then says, "Hey, who was that?" That prompted me to jump out of bed and get my knife. I'm explaining to my friend that I have no idea who that was, and I think someone's in my house. The whole time I'm just fixed on this cracked open door with a terrible feeling that something bad is about to happen at any second. Then suddenly the bad feeling is gone, and I gather my courage and rush into the hallway and turn on the light. I didn't see anything. I searched the rest of the house and see nothing. He said he heard it, and we both came to the conclusion that it had to be my cat making a weird noise. He's making weird ones all the time, but never like that. But I was ready to leave it at that. 2 days later, Tuesday night, I'm watching YouTube again, this time with the door locked and closed. It was open because it gets hot in my room if the door is closed, but I didn't care. I was spooked. So I'm watching a pro game match. At the end of the video, they add time to keep you from guessing the winner of the match early by looking at the time left in the video. I ended up dozing off pretty early in the video. I wake up sometime later, and I'm just listening to this match for a few minutes to see how everything is going. I realized I'd never get back to sleep if I kept listening, so I decided to turn off the TV and go to bed. I turn around, eyes closed because I didn't want to wake up fully, find the remote on the nightstand and try to turn it off. It wasn't working, so I figured I left a controller in front of the sensor again and prepared myself to open my eyes in an exaggerated fashion. When I open them, I see this figure standing in front of the TV. I couldn't tell if it was looking at the TV or at me. It looked like a black stick figure, but like a head full of long, straight black hair. It was probably about 4 feet tall. In utter shock, I just laid there looking at this thing. Time goes on, and it doesn't move a muscle, and neither did I. I felt like if I moved something bad would happen, so I continued to stare at the back or front of its head, still not sure where it's looking. A few minutes go by, and I realize the match is complete from the black screen, and the black screen is about to pop up in the next few minutes. I had no idea what I should do. It's been about 10 minutes since I noticed this thing, and it hasn't moved an inch, but my fear only increased. Out of panic, I called out to it, and I screamed, "Who are you?" I got no response. It continued just standing there. I'm still not sure what it's looking at. At this point, I could no longer bear to look at it. I closed my eyes and rolled back over, turning my back to it. In the next few minutes, the match was over, and it was silent. I heard no sound of it moving, but I once again had that feeling if I turned to look, I would regret it. So I laid there, pretending to be asleep, while every sense was on high alert. I was starting to think it was gone when I had this overwhelming sense of presence, like someone was standing right behind me. I then felt little pricks on the side of my face. That's not on the pillow. It felt like hair. The mental image I came up with from this information almost caused me to start bawling. I was starting to think I was going to die, but I didn't want to look at it. I was afraid of what I would see, so I laid there, still as a corpse, and I heard a faint "Alice," and the feeling vanished just like that. Still stricken with fear, I didn't dare open my eyes. I ended up falling back to sleep. I had a confusing dream that I'll talk about if you all want me to, but I'm not sure what I did to cause this to suddenly start getting so serious, or if I'm starting to get sick with some sort of mental illness. Let me know.
Alice doesn't live here anymore. That's what she should have said. Alice doesn't live here anymore, you dickhead. Oh, boy. This is very similar to what we just talked about with my story.
And I will say, the difference, though, is that he was able to pull himself up enough to grab the remote, roll over. That's not paralysis. Now, it could still be hallucination, but it was not paralysis. That I can be sure of.
Yeah, but how is hallucination any better of an option than paralysis is my question. Because like a waking, lucid hallucination, like those are exceedingly rare unless you're like, unless you have another underlying mental condition like schizophrenia or something. Like lucid hallucinations, unless you're like on something, are not common, right? That's normally localized to like severe mental illness.
Or severe stress.
Right.
But even so, to be staring at this thing for 10 minutes.
Yeah, but we watched Skinamarink together. Remember, there were plenty of times we were watching it and I was like, is there a face? Do you see a face? It's like, how much of it is just synesthesia, right? Where it's like, I'm seeing the thing. Because like, look, it's like, look, if you look in the corner just right, and I've seen horror movies just like you have. I've seen The Conjuring. The Conjuring 2 plays with like dark corners in movies better than like any other movie I've seen. And it's like, I'm looking into the corner and is there something there? Because that girl is going, there's something there. I could see its eyes. I've seen that scene a million times. And it's like, that's from the first one. And it's Jolie King screaming that like the top of her lungs. And I'd never like paused it and like turned the brightness up to see if there's anything there. But that feeling that it evokes is so universal. Of like the monster under the bed, the thing in the closet, like the dark corner of your room. And so like, I've got to wonder if part of it's just like I'm seeing, like you said, maybe it is a hallucination in the sense of like I'm seeing what I want to see, which is something scary.
Right.
Fucking it's angel in the corner. You're going to see something scary. Nobody ever sees anything not scary. Like,
of course,
always
because
scary.
We're evolutionarily predisposed to that.
Correct.
Like, that is a survival instinct to constantly be on the lookout for danger at night. Like, we're not constantly looking out for nice things at night. Like,
no, what could come at night is monsters from the wild coming into your cave, sneaking in like the monsters in the night and dragging you out and eating you because nature's metal as fuck and it doesn't care. It will not feel bad for you if you're its meal. So, and to me, it's like, that evolutionary idea of like the dark is scary, like in my mind, it's a little bit of like the same thing of like death, right? Like, why is death scary? It's because we don't understand it. Like the dark is scary because we don't understand it. But I don't think that actually makes it scary, right? Like it's just, that's our interpretation of it.
Right. I guess going back to the story, what is my sticking point in this is the fact that he turns away. He feels the pinpricks of potentially like hair on his cheek because he described this figure as having just hair, just like it was a stick basically essentially a stick figure with hair.
Right.
And whispering Alice, like that must have been fucking horrifying, whether it's a hallucination or not. Fucking terrifying.
Agreed. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, similar to my story, it's like, I guarantee you experience something because you don't just concoct this shit out of nowhere. Like this, you're being specific enough for me to believe that you experienced this, or I believe you experienced it for sure. Like, I'm with you.
The stick figure thing, when I was first reading this through and like vetting it, I was like, okay, all right, this is kind of stupid. And then I kept reading it and I was like hooked. And I'm like, I don't know if they could appear in that form, but why the fuck not?
Well, I honestly like you bring up a good point. Like the stick figure thing is kind of dopey.
It is.
And like, I don't know how to kind of deal with that in the juxtaposition of this like pretty good story about someone interacting with like a being in the corner of their eye out of their peripheral at night. Like, I don't know how to like square that.
Why would you make that up? Like, why that?
Well, why a stick figure though? Like, what is that? What is that? Like, I don't understand is my question. Like, what? Like, I don't get it.
I'm imagining like the pipe cleaner monster from the back rooms.
I'm imagining like a literal like stick figure. Like,
no, do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not. And look, a stick figure is pretty unambiguous. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's why they're using the term stick figure, because it's like, it's a universal term that we can all understand, which is a ball for a head and then legs and arms that are literally straight lines. Like, whether or not it's a straight line across for arms or two lines for arms is unimportant. A stick figure is about as universal as, I don't know, it's pretty universal, I feel like. But that's such a weird thing to see. Did you look into like if there were other people seeing similar descriptors of things like stick men? Is that a thing? Because like,
no.
The man with the dark hat is. I mean, you're
right.
That right, like the man with the fedora. That's essentially backlit. That's a thing. I mean,
that's what I was thinking of.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I mean, yeah, okay. I can kind of say it looks tiny though.
Yeah, I mean,
like human size.
No, it's supposed to be like, I'm assuming like 8 feet tall or taller. And the perspective is weird. The whole point of like the back rooms is that's supposed to be like a liminal walkthrough type space.
Okay.
So the perspective is a little wonky, but like that's supposed to be like far away. It's just like a lot of winding corridors.
Seems like this is in that same camp of the man with the hat. Like you're seeing a thing that's scary and in the dark and you can't tell me what it is. And I bet that there are other people who have seen similar things to this.
Right.
Again, is it sleep paralysis? No. But here's the thing. In The Nightmare, the documentary by Rodney Asher, all about sleep paralysis, which is fucking scary on its own. Like, it's a scary documentary. It's just like not a thing. Like, he's scared. I mean, it's not. Like, it's something that, like, if you watch it in the right setting, it's scary as fuck. Like, as scary as a horror movie. I'm like not joking.
On sleep paralysis?
Yeah. Yes.
What's this called?
The Nightmare. It's really good. It's really scary. Just the way he shoots it is just, he makes it feel like you're in the sleep paralysis with them, because he like recreates the sleep paralysis the way they describe it with the people who are describing it.
Interesting. It has a shitty rating on like everything.
Ratings are unimportant.
I know.
Ratings are unimportant when it comes to documentaries, because it's such a specific art style that like some people are just not going to vibe with it. And he's doing something weird. He's really mixing the idea of what a documentary can be with like horror trappings and like trying to scare you. But I bet the people didn't like it because they were like, why are you doing like jump scare type shit in a fucking like documentary? Which is fine.
Do you want to know the first review? It's a sentence of like one of the fucking critics.
So fucking dumb. I can't wait to hear it.
The Nightmare is undeniably entertaining, but it's just empty calories.
Fucking whatever. Not everything has to have a purpose, fuckers.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I had to share.
No, it's fair. It's valid.
Empty calories. That's what I would describe like the Mario movie as an adult.
Yeah, like it's entertainment, and like that's okay. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, not everything.
Fun.
Yeah, not everything has to. As someone who watches more content than most people, well, I take that back. As someone who watches a lot of content and has to talk about it more than most people do, sometimes you just want to watch something that has nothing to do with anything, and it's just like reality TV. I used to hate it. Like, there are some reality TV things that I fucking love, and I will unabashedly just sit and have it on, and I will love it and vibe out to it. Anyways, All that aside, in that documentary, they talk about the man with the fedora, which is like a thing that people are seeing in their dreams. And people are seeing it across their, like, people on different continents describe a similar thing. I wonder if this is like that. I genuinely wonder if this is in that same camp. Because in my mind, this is sleep paralysis. And the other thing that I would say, the reason I would go for that is in the documentary, when they're recreating the sleep paralysis, one of the sleep paralysis that they recreate, it's like a fake out. The guy thinks he's woken up and it's still sleep.
I have had dream wake loops. They're not fun.
So how does this person know that this is not that, is my question.
That's a fair question. As somebody who's
story to get to that question, but the question stands, how did they know that they were awake? Because if you can't tell, then it doesn't matter.
Have you had an experience like that before?
So, look, I smoke weed, okay? So let's just get that out in the open.
How dare you?
And, like, I feel like with the usage of marijuana, my, like, dreams have become at times more vivid and at times none at all. It just depends. Like, it seems to be like there's not a middle ground. And I'm not saying that there was always a middle ground with my dreams. Maybe I feel like I've always had very vivid dreams, but I've never, best I can tell, have had the I wake up and I fall back asleep thing. I've never had that, best I can tell. I've had dreams that felt as real as life.
Sure.
But I've never had a dream where
you think you wake up and you're still actually dreaming.
I am not lucky enough to have had one of those weird cinematically
no.
I know you're going to tell me how terrible it is, but, like,
I've had it twice.
It feels so fucking insane that it could actually happen, but it's like it's such a trope in movies that I like, maybe it has happened to me and I just don't realize it. But you know what I mean? Like, in so many movies, it's such a trope of, like, am I even awake? Like,
I mean, that's the thing for me is the most recent time that it happened, I might have already told you about this. Maybe I already talked about it on here, but long story short, my boyfriend was staying the night and it was, sometime in the morning. And I start having this, sleep loop where I am dreaming that, it's morning and I get up and I take my medication. I start heading down the stairs and then I'm back in bed and I wake up and I take my medication and I'm going down the stairs and I wake up and I take my medication and I'm going like, it was like that. And I could not tell you how many times it looped, but like
approximate. Was it double digits?
I want to say it was like around 8 or 10.
Oh my Lord.
And so by the time I was actually awake, I was crying. And so like my boyfriend was like, oh my God, are you okay? What happened? And I was just like, I don't know if I'm sleeping. I don't know if I'm awake. Like he had to like console me and convince me that I was awake this time. It's not fun.
Well, and that's, I mean, the thing that I think everybody forgets about is like in a movie, it has no bearing on anything. It's literally false stakes. When it's taking place in your real life, in your brain, like most
it's like that's so mundane too. Like it's not like it was a scary dream. But what scared me is that I didn't know if it would happen again.
Right.
I wouldn't know like how far would I get in my day, and then just to be like that is horrifying. That in and of itself is scary. There didn't need to be a monster. In the dream, it was daytime. It was morning. It was not inherently a scary dream at all. It was just a very surreal, disturbing experience. And like I said, I'm very glad that I had him there to convince me I was awake. If not for that, I probably would have had to like sit up and like watch YouTube or some shit and convince myself that I'm breaking the cycle by like being chronically online until I forgot about it. But luckily he was there.
No, I've never experienced
it's not
that,
fun.
Emma.
It's not fun.
It sounds awful. It sounds genuinely like a terrible thing that I would not wish upon anybody. Like,
if I had to choose between the two, like sleep paralysis, which I said I have experienced without hallucinations, or dream wake loop, which I've had significantly less of, I would pick sleep paralysis every single time. Every single time. I would much rather, like, for the 20 seconds that I'm struggling to breathe and I can't move and how scary that is, at least it's over in like 20 to 30 seconds and I can break myself out of it. I prefer that every time. Because it doesn't affect your idea of reality. That's the difference. Unless if you're hallucinating, which thank God I don't. Maybe it's because I have partial aphantasia.
Well, I also wondered that because you do have that. So it's like,
I mean, I don't have a very vivid imagination. So, I mean, it very well could affect it. Anyway,
but this
tangent aside.
This seems oddly.
Well, so
like what they're describing and what you're describing is vivid enough where you can like tell me about it distinctly happening. So like, I don't know. This all sounds very. It's not scary. Is not the word I would use, but it's very unsettling because again, like we don't know enough about the human brain. And we may never know, but like this is all contained up here. Like that's it. Like just there is external motivation happening, like stressors and other things. But like ultimately, this is just the thing up here doing its thing, whatever that thing is, because we just don't know. And that's the scary part. That's actually the scary part because everybody has a.
So, but what I will say is that I think this follow-up might make you rethink your theory.
Oh boy.
So again, user Lord_Septar, titled Update to my post over a year ago. Hey everyone, thanks for all the feedback and help to my previous post. For anyone else, a quick TLDR of the last post is the following. Some sort of entity suddenly made itself known for seemingly no reason. Now for what's happened since, I love the TLDR. So like, thing happened. Anyway, let's go.
Yeah, get to it, man.
This is where the Gen Z really starts showing for me was this one. Now for what's happened since then. For starters, my cat has passed away. Rip Bacardi. Peace. Can we just like pour one out for Bacardi?
Well, I know you're a zillennial with your naming your
Bacardi.
This is probably the same kind of person that has liquor bottles above their cabinets in there. Not making
Anyway. Secondly, nothing major had happened to me until about 2 hours ago. I was coming in the house from work and was very thirsty. On the way to my room, I walked past my roommate's room and I noticed his bedding was gone, which is a sign he's gone for the weekend. I grab my water bottle and head back to the kitchen. I fill it with water, head back to my room. On the way back, I walk past the bathroom. I have this urge of paranoia to check behind the shower curtain, so I check to see nothing and just say out loud, imagine if there really was someone out there and they caught me lacking. I love it. I love this so much. I'm shaking my head, SMH, as I turn to leave the bed. I just want to picture this for a moment. This guy just being like, opens up his curtain. Yo, imagine if this ghost fucking caught me slacking, SMH.
It's like fucking the people that run up the stairs from the basement when they're like, oh my God, these could.
I still do that. I'm going to do that tonight.
Wow. I mean, fair, but it's like the same thing. Like,
oh, for sure.
You wouldn't want me to slow down on the stairs now, would you? Like, yeah, no, probably not. As if he was there.
So I'm shaking my head as I turn to leave the bathroom. When I turn, I think I noticed something bolt to the left side of my door frame, which leads to my room. I didn't hear anything, so I wasn't worried. I figured if someone could move that fast and silent, I was a goner anyways. I love it. I love this energy. So I exit the bathroom and turn into my room. Not seeing anything out of the ordinary, I start to change clothes for bed. I finish changing and turn on my TV while grabbing my PS4 controller and laying on my bed is how I'm choosing to read that. I'm scrolling YouTube looking for something to watch when I notice a slight movement on the ceiling. I look up and I know this isn't going to make sense, but I saw a head peeking over the ceiling fan blades. It physically doesn't make sense to me even now. I noticed what it was, and before I could even blink, it ducked behind the blade of the fan. From my last major encounter, I've decided to call it Alice, so I said, well, goodbye, Alice. I didn't have goosebumps or chills, so I felt like joking around at that time. I thought that was it. I was trying to fall asleep about 15 minutes later. While I'm still awake, I hear my door suddenly open, which prompts me to immediately close it. This has been happening since the last major incident. My door will open for seemingly no reason during the night unless I lock it. My door is at the foot of my bed, It opened too far for my foot to reach, so I have to sit up to use my arm to do it. While I'm reaching, I peek outside the door, and all I see is this stick figure with a head full of hair in the doorway to my bathroom, literally 1 foot away from my doorframe. I freeze as I get chills all over my body, but only for a moment. I haven't looked directly at it, so I try to play it off like I pulled a muscle trying to stretch for the door. I don't want a repeat of last time, so I just reach for the door and close it. This time I lock it and try to ignore what I just saw. In my head, I'm thinking I just won, and I can't believe I really tried to play it off like I didn't see it. I lay back down and get comfy. Almost immediately, I hear my door open again, this time much more slowly. I open my eyes, and now it's in my doorway, just standing there. This time, I looked directly at it. It seemed like it was looking at me directly, even though I couldn't tell for sure. The chills are starting to hurt at this point. I sit up in defiance while looking at it. It's 2 to 3 feet away from me. My heart is absolutely racing, but I would rather do this than be in fear like last time. I say in a calm tone of voice, "Go away, Alice." Almost as soon as the words leave my lips, it turns violently. Now it looked like it was looking directly at me. I didn't hear it turn, which scared me more than it should have. I point at its face and say again in a calm voice, "Go away, Alice." Next thing I know, I'm in the kitchen with my water bottle, filling it again, with no recollection of what had happened between then and now. It's almost 2 hours later than I remember, and now I'm very worried about what happened. I'm checking my body, checking my phone, checking the house, checking everything. Things seem normal. I'm not sure what happened at the end. Is there anything to suggest this has happened for a reason? Did it knock me out somehow? Did it possess me? Did I faint under the stress? Anyone have a guess on what happened? Right now I'm feeling no different than before, besides just feeling exhausted, but mostly very unsettled. Thanks for any help in advance.
I know what it is now.
Oh?
100% is an alien.
No.
Oh, yeah. Lost it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like behind the ceiling fan?
You could explain it as plenty of things, but an alien makes just about as much sense.
That's fair. I will give you that, but I do want to hear your reasoning.
Loss of time is a very common sign of abduction, or interaction with some sort of extraterrestrial being, because often, for whatever reason, they interfere with the electricity and the electronics, right? So often with time loss, it's like, oh, I found my watch stopped working too. Or the clocks froze or something. That often comes with time loss. But time loss is a very strong indicator of interaction with alien.
Interesting.
Third or fourth close encounter. Yeah. That's it's very weird now, because putting it into perspective and kind of listening to the way they're talking about certain things, the way that they're talking about oh, this thing peeking out. It's because they saw the thing again, right? They saw this. They saw this
basically a year later, they had this update. They said that for the past year, though, their door has been opening unless it had been locked, except this time the door opened again after he had locked it.
Repeat visits. Repeat interactions. Whitley Strieber, his entire book, Communion, talks about his interactions with UFOs over a 20, 30-year period of his life. And they started out kind of inexplicable. And then, the older he got, the more he was able to kind of understand. Because that's the thing, the sleep paralysis documentary, The Nightmare, one of the guys in there is oh, it was aliens at one point. It's oh, I thought this was alien. And it's no, this is not aliens. This is sleep paralysis. But he made the image of a mask of one of the things he interacted with while he was in sleep paralysis as a baby. And it looked like an alien, like a literal gray, like you and I assume. But here's the thing, I'm not willing to say that this is sleep paralysis anymore, because they were standing up, They were doing something. So this in my mind, I think I do kind of defer straight up to this is something alien.
Something, honestly. At the very least, something wacky. I read this update before I read the original post. So I read it out of order originally. And I definitely think installment number 2 is stronger than installment number 1. But
more of a clarifier on certain questions that needed to answer. I wonder, I've seen it described sometimes staticky, because in The Nightmare, the guy talks about the staticky nature of these things that he's seeing. I wonder if this stick figure is not a stick figure as much as just the way that we're perceiving what we're seeing. It's not a stick figure. It's that's what it's projecting itself as.
Right.
I don't know how that would be any less scary than presenting itself as what it is, but maybe that's just the best way our eyes can perceive as what it is. It's trying to camouflage itself in the room as best it can. And it's it's a poor facsimile of a human being, but it's trying to disguise itself and be in the room with them.
Interesting.
I don't know. Again, if you look at it from one way, it's ghosts, but the ghosts do not explain time loss.
Oh, I would say demon.
What's ironic about?
I don't know.
For demons are like aliens. It could be demons have signifiers, speaking in a language they've never known. Demons and ghosts are very close, right?
Or some sort of demonic entity, some sort of sinister entity. Again, maybe an entity that thrives off of fear. I'm very proud of him for trying to act brave. Kudos, fucking props. Could not be me.
I agree that so many of these stories have someone saying I saw a thing and then I just kind of, walked away from it. Like, this person is fuck no.
I confronted it.
Right. And like, good for you. Like the ball's on you. Congratulations.
Absolute mad lad. I want to interview him. I want to know what's happened.
Big dog Giga Chad him. Look, I mean, even when I had the interactions that I've had, like, I'm not facing them down. Like, the time I heard the thing at night above our bed, like, I did what that person did initially, and like, I just stayed there, just sat there, and like, didn't make a noise, and hoped that it would go away. It's like, yeah, like, it's probably like, but this person's like,
that's what I'd do.
Fucking do it. Come get me if you want me. Like, oh. God damn! Like, all right, like,
you guys have some fiery shit. I really think this is one of the times where it is so weird that, like, why would you make this up of all things? Like, it doesn't feel like it pulls inspiration from a movie or from a book. To me, it feels so specific and so weird.
Yeah,
I don't know. This one hits weird for me. And definitely, like, the first one you could easily write off as like a sleep sort of hallucination. This one, at most, schizophrenia.
Yeah, but that's not something you just have and don't know you have. Like,
I mean, I don't
know. Like, it seems like such a dire thing. Like, schizophrenia is not something to joke about. You know what I mean? Like, none of it.
But that being said, it did open the door.
Yeah, but aliens can.
Yeah.
If they're phasing in it.
But like, what I'm saying is, the reason why I wouldn't vote for mental health problems is because the door opened.
I see. Physical interaction. I see what.
Yeah, but like, when it starts interacting with your environment, to me, that's when it's.
You're just seeing the door open, and that's part of the illness. Like, again, like, it's the whole thing of like, how do you know you're awake? Like, you know,
right.
I'm not saying that unless this person has like a really rough case of sleep paralysis, which is what we're advocating for. If it's not these other things, like, they're seeing aliens every night, and now they're having sleep paralysis while they're standing up, which is not possible.
No.
So that's the thing. Like, there's the part of this that's hard to kind of square away is I was at the refrigerator, and then I was in my bed, and then I was back in the kitchen again. And it's like,
I'm looking to see.
And that's alien. I like your response to, oh my God, aliens? What? I
don't think about that. I don't think about that. I really don't. It's not that I don't.
I get it. I mean,
think that aliens are a possible explanation.
I know.
It's just not where my brain goes.
Well,
but I know
it's so lazy though. Like, it used to be the lazy choice, like aliens. Like, I'm like genuinely saying aliens unironically. That's where I'm coming.
So one person commented, under extreme stress and or anxiety, you can have what's called vasovagal syncope. Basically, your blood pressure could have quickly tanked under the stress, causing you to black out. So even so, I don't think that explains it. I'm trying to see if anybody else in the comments heard anything interesting or helpful.
Let's find something that sounds even less plausible and try to pin it on that. Like, it just, that's the way I feel about a lot of these like secondary explanations. It's like, do you understand how much of a leap this in and of itself also is? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, aliens is kind of a leap, but you know what? Like, when we're talking about something that's unexplained, like, why is it a leap? Why is it a leap? I don't think it is.
I will say that I like this one comment that says, I practice magic, and one thing I can tell you is go to God. People can say what they want to, but Jesus Christ holds a lot of power. Imagine getting that as a comment.
Yeah, there's one in every crowd, Emma, as they would say. Like, there's one in every crowd, regardless of where we are. There's one in every crowd, and they're just so happy to be there and to proselytize and be able to spread the message of Jesus. That, hey,
I mean, to be fair, more power to you. And if you feel safe by invoking the name of Jesus Christ, then hell yeah, I love that for you. I just think it's really funny.
So different than like rubbing a rabbit's foot.
I love how it's like the person posting is like, they must not have considered Jesus. It's like, if they were going to ask Jesus for help, I think they would have done it already.
The ultimate consideration is,
honestly. Anyway, that's what I have for you. Do you think we got to do one more?
I think we're good.
You think we're good?
I think so. I think the conversation was lively enough at the end here, don't you?
I think so.
I think you brought a good story to the table that it
was very engaging.
Well, you didn't tell me what you thought it was.
I mean,
I told you. Like, I'm staking it.
My thought goes towards some sort of demonic apparition. That's my
sticking with the demonic.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from with aliens, and I want to, it's not like I want to agree, but I can't. It's just, like I said, something about this screams demonic and haunting, not like curiosity and probing.
So do you feel like there's like an intent, or does this seem random?
In these cases, the intent would be to scare. And a lot of shadow-like figures apparently, anecdotally, feed off of that fear. So
yeah.
And maybe it was waiting, for the roommate to leave, so it could really capitalize on that fear of, this person being alone in his house. Like,
I wonder if the interactions that they've had with this thing increase in frequency when there's only them there.
That's a good question.
Because again, like, with Whitley Strieber's stuff and the aliens that he interacted with, they would present themselves to him, but then they started kind of getting more cavalier about it, and they would present themselves to him and other people at his house at the same time. So it's like, wonder if there's like a ramp up nature to this too. I mean, obviously there is, given that it didn't happen until it did, and then it just kept happening. Like that in and of itself is like a nature of the ramp up. But this is a wild one.
Absolutely. So
it's a good one. I think good for him for having this story.
I was deeply enthralled. I like his storytelling, and I like how he recounts it, and I definitely think it's a very interesting, unique encounter. And I feel bad for him and Rick Picardi.
Yeah, I feel bad for him as much as I can, but also at the same time, like, they seem to have made like a level of peace with it, which I think is also a good thing. I mean, that's the thing. Like, in
either that or it's that zennial denial.
Yeah, but I mean, look, in Whitley Strieber's book, he kind of makes peace with it. Like, by the end of the book, he's like, I kind of made peace with what's been going on and how I've been kind of dealing with that personally. So, like, I feel like for me, they've made their peace with what's going on. Like, look, you can't control these things. And to think that you can is ridiculous in and of itself. So it's the way I look at it. It's like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. The likelihood that it happens to you is very low.
Fair enough.
But just like winning the lottery, just like so many things, like winning the lottery, you have a low percentage chance. Getting hit by lightning. You go out in the rainstorm with the umbrella and stick it up in the sky, you have a better chance of getting hit, but it doesn't guarantee that you will. And that's the thing here. It's just like, maybe they were doing some sort of high risk behavior that we don't know about, that they're not talking about, to kind of bring these things to them. Mm-hmm. But your roommate just leaving is not.
I mean, I will say, it looks like they're still posting. The last time they commented on something was 40 days ago. And that, the update that they had was 241 days ago. So at least they're still alive. That's what matters to me.
Agreed. They're still kicking it, even if they have to deal with their door opening and possibly go.
On that lovely note.
Reddit, as always, is a great place for some good stories. So yeah, on that note, until the next time we do another one of these, you can find Emma and I over at weirdingwaymedia.com, where this podcast is readily available, along with the kind of 1A, 1B to this show, Twisted and Uncorked, two women who are much funnier than me, which, by the way, ain't that hard. You should go listen to their show, listen to this show, listen to both shows. Support everybody over at Weirding Way Media, because, hey, we're making content that you want to listen to. As for Emma and I, Scary Stories We Tell can be found at scarystorieswetell.com, on social media, everywhere you find it. You have found it there before and continue to find it now. Like, rate, and review the show wherever you get it, which is more than likely iTunes or Spotify. And yeah, we'll let our good friend, the former host of Sightings, Mr. Tim White, lead us out.
No mystery is closed to an open mind.